India is massive. To manage a population of over 1 billion people, the country is divided into a network of 28 states and 8 union territories. Each of these divisions requires its own localized machinery to run effectively on a day-to-day basis. To see how this machinery actually works, we can look at the state of Karnataka. The physical headquarters for all of this localized power sits right here, inside the Vidhana Soudha building in Bengaluru. This flowchart outlines how a state government divides its responsibilities into 3 load-bearing pillars. You have the legislature, which makes the laws, the executive, which enforces them, and the judiciary, which interprets them through the courts. But before any laws are passed or enforced, a basic question has to be answered. By what exact mathematical rules do we decide who actually gets to stand inside that building and govern? A state government relies on a strict mathematical blueprint. The entire system is engineered with one primary goal: to divide the land into electoral constituencies that mirror the population through representation. Inside the lower house of the state legislature, called the Vidhana Sabha, representation is treated as a math problem. The size of an electoral constituency and the total number of seats in the room are dictated strictly by population density. This chart shows the constitutional boundaries for any state assembly in India. To ensure the government functions properly, the rules require a minimum floor of 60 seats and a strict maximum of 500 seats. But rigid math has to account for geographic reality. If a state simply doesn't have enough people to meet that minimum threshold, the Constitution allows for a demographic exception. Take Sikkim, for example. Because of its remote mountainous terrain, the population is so small that the standard rule is overwritten. Their state assembly operates with exactly 32 representatives. The system is built with enough rigidity to maintain baseline order across the country, but enough flexibility to adapt to extreme demographic outliers. Bringing it back to Karnataka, the state's legislative assembly hits the constitutional sweet spot, operating right now with exactly 224 elected members. That number used to be 225, with 1 seat specifically reserved for a nominated member of the Anglo-Indian community. But in 2020, the 104th Amendment removed that nomination process, updating the state's internal code to refine how representation is measured. To accurately reflect the state's demographics, the Assembly uses targeted engineering. Out of those 224 seats, 36 are strictly reserved for scheduled castes, and another 15 are reserved for scheduled tribes. And the math is still evolving. With the passage of the 128th Amendment, also known as the Nari Shakti Vandana Adhiniyam, the rules now carve out a mandatory 33% reservation for women across all legislative assemblies. A state assembly is a constantly calculating formula, actively adjusting its own rules to force the government to reflect the true diversity of its citizens. When you place 224 fiercely opposing representatives into a single room, you have to ask how any law actually gets passed without the entire process grinding to a permanent halt. That responsibility falls to the Speaker of the House. Elected from within the Assembly, the Speaker steps away from their party affiliation to act as the strict, nonpartisan referee of the legislative floor. To maintain that neutrality, the Speaker operates with a unique restriction. During normal procedures and everyday debates, they do not cast a vote. This diagram illustrates the one exception. If a highly contested bill results in a perfect deadlock, exactly 112 to 112, a mechanical failsafe is triggered. The Speaker steps in to deliver a single casting vote that breaks the tie and decides the outcome. The legislative machine is engineered so that it can never completely freeze. No matter how deep the division, the rules guarantee a final decision. Once the lawmakers in the legislature pass a bill, the responsibility shifts. It falls to the executive branch to take those words on paper and actually enforce them on the ground. The chief minister leads the branch, but implementing policy requires high-level legal oversight. This is why the state appoints an advocate general, the highest law officer in the state, to ensure that executive actions remain firmly within the bounds of constitutional law. And the state's strategy for long-term growth requires constant maintenance. Recently, Karnataka recognized that its old administrative frameworks were becoming outdated, resulting in the retirement of the traditional state planning board. In its place, they installed the SITK, the State Institute for Transformation of Karnataka. This serves as a newly upgraded engine designed specifically to drive modern state development and policy execution. The state government functions as an adaptive mechanism. It constantly recalibrates its mathematical representation, employs procedural fail-safes to break deadlocks, and replaces outdated boards with modern institutions to manage the needs of a modern population.